I will say that the Woonsocket School Committee meeting of Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025 is now called to order at 7 p.m. Dr. McGee, roll call, please.
Chairman Bourget,
Here.
Vice Chair Burke,
Here.
Mrs. Kepiscus,
Here.
Mrs. Costa,
Here.
Mr. Leclerc.
Here. Please stand and join me for a moment of silence and the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, a nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have some guests with us tonight, and so I'd like to ask Mr. Ernest to come to the microphone and introduce your guests.
Good evening, everyone. We have a couple of special guests for you tonight. First is our Woonsocket High School Future Business Leaders of America, and I'd like to ask Miss Ann Croft to come up and introduce her team.
Oh, no.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ann Croft. I'm a business teacher at the high school, and I am also the chapter advisor for Future Business Leaders of America. I am also the state chair for the Rhode Island FBLA chapter. With me tonight are a couple of our members, Mansour Diang, who is our chapter president, and Janiyah Campbell, who is our chapter vice president, and they have something to share with you.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for having the Woonsocket FBLA chapter here today. My name is Mansour Diang, and I'm the current president of the Woonsocket FBLA chapter. Before we start our presentation, which is in front of you with the printed handouts, I just want to share with you guys some good news. We have effectively doubled our membership from last year. We also reported that statistic last year as well, so it's been a great improvement over the past 2 years. It was great to see our chapter grow, and we're very happy to see previous members and current members, continue to strengthen their membership and affirm their place with our FBLA chapter. We also have a newly elected state officer, Janiyah Campbell, who is with me today. She is the current RI FBLA state reporter and historian. With our chapter today, we have Grace, Melody, Leilani, Janiyah, Marlisha, and Eliana, who are scattered throughout the audience. So first off, we want to talk about our state leadership conference experience this year. So this year, our state leadership conference was held at Johnson & Wales in the Providence campus, and we were effectively there for the entire day. And during this day, we participated in our competitions, and we also participated in workshops and other activities with other chapters across the state. One of my favorite memories for this state leadership conference was our networking event. This was a panel hosted by current business leaders, and they essentially talked about how to build those connections in the business world and how you can keep and strengthen those relationships. And as a senior in high school, someone who's going to college, it was very eye-opening to see how I could, assert myself in the business world and how I could continue to affirm my place in a structure such as that. Janiyah is also going to share her experience today.
Hi, my name is Janiyah Campbell. I'm vice president of our FBLA chapter, and SLC was a very eye-opening experience for me. There was a lot of business opportunities, and the workshops really helped just expand our knowledge on financial literacy, but also networking and how to be a leader and just be a productive person in today's society. I think the SLC was very important because we also learned how to connect with other people who are like-minded. And I think it just really helped a lot of us who were just coming into FBLA as first years. It helped us understand what it was like, and it just gave a lot of opportunities that we don't get to see on an everyday basis.
So if you turn to our next slide, we have our conference winners. This year, our members performed extremely well. Myself and Mina Antunes, we placed first in our local chapter annual business report. Some of our other members that placed include Janiyah Campbell in Accounting 1, Lydia Pimazone in Financial Math, Grace Medina in Computer Problem Solving, Renelle Askey in Business Law, and Eliana in Cybersecurity. So due to our best efforts at our competition this year, we've had 6 members who are eligible for the national competition. So you may be asking, what opportunities are offered through FBLA? So at our state conferences, we have our leadership development, we have networking and mentorship, and also learning from other chapters. So essentially with leadership development at our state conferences, like we stated previously, we attend workshops and also panel overviews, and that gives us a chance to focus on our leadership skills, career readiness, and our personal growth. With networking and mentorship, we also get a chance to meet with students across the state. I know personally at our state leadership conference this year, I connected with about 5 other students on LinkedIn. So it was really great to expand my network in that aspect. And additionally, with our networking through that, we also learn from other chapters. So as a collective, we all lean on and help each other. As a very small state, our chapters are, very connected, and we love to showcase our work, but also help each other within their development and how they can be better chapters. And you may be asking, if we attend this national conference, how can we grow upon those skills? So essentially, our leadership development will be advanced completely. There's national workshops and seminars, and these tend to be more specialized. So they can range from topics from entrepreneurship, preparing for high-level careers, and financial literacy. It's imperative that we as a society are able to have access to these opportunities and sort of continue to grow as professional leaders and also as students in general. Networking on a broader scale. So at national leadership conferences, there's also large companies and corporations, and they can also often offer booths and sponsor events. So these events that we attend at national leadership conferences, they open doors for us in the industry right out of high school. Additionally, at the national level, like I stated previously, our chapters do like to help each other, and being able to be exposed with chapters from all across the United States and all across the world as well can be very eye-opening, and we can also take some of those ideas back to Woonsocket and expand our chapters and expand our minds. So if you turn to our next slide.
So this year's NLC will be hosted in California, Anaheim, and it's from June 28th to July 3rd, 2025.
So on the next slide, we've compiled a summary of the national leadership costs. So to mention, each student has been doing a tremendous deal of both fundraising and personal work in order to attend the NLC this year, and we hope that we can give both our new members and old members a chance at being able to attend this amazing experience. So we are here today to ask you to invest in our FBLA chapter. Without the help of the Woonsocket Education Department, National Leadership Conference would not be possible. Speaking personally, I work a job to support myself, and I know many of our members here do as well. And though we're saving for the National Leadership Conference, we know that our efforts alone will not be enough. We're asking you to invest in our youth, getting the opportunity to see a world outside of Woonsocket, and bringing back what we've learned and trying to incorporate that back into our school will be a game changer. To give us the opportunity to expand our intellectual curiosity, regarding business and how we can relate change in that field will also be another game changer. Education in the classroom is important, but education's hands-on in a way from the classroom is just as important. FBLA is not just a business organization, but is preparing our future leaders, our future change makers, and today's youth. So, thank you.
Good job.
Thank you very much.
Great presentation. Mansoor, Janira, Ms. Croft, and the entire FBLA organization, great job. Next up, we have Ms. Maiello and some of our cast from the Mamma Mia. The show will be next Thursday night. It will run for 3 nights. Our auditorium is ready to go. Thank you all for all your support. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Maiello.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jen Milo, the theater teacher. I want to thank you for inviting the cast of Mamma Mia here to perform a tiny, tiny piece of our 3-hour musical spectacular. This cast and crew features 48 students, 17 alumni students, 7 faculty members. That's a total of 72 people in the show. It's the largest cast we've had in the past 20 years. We've had a lot of challenges this year. It was extremely difficult putting up a musical this size in my classroom. Like I told my cast, most schools would have canceled their musical due to the renovation, but not us. Instead, they moved every piece of furniture out of the class, out into the parking lot, even in the snow. We used basketball courts, hallways, parking lots, cafeterias to space dance numbers out and learn choreography. I am beyond proud of the cast. It was not always fun, and a couple of people almost lost an eye, but they smiled, clapped for themselves, and never complained, not even once. I want to thank Mr. Notoriani, Mr. Perea, Dr. McGee, and Mr. Ernest for being on top of the renovations and being sure that the room was ready for our show. I apologize for the panicked emails throughout the year. I've been told I'm a little dramatic, but it was always for the good of the kids. And I remember when we canceled in 2020, I could not disappoint them again. School committee members, thank you for always supporting us, placing ads in our playbill, and coming to every single event that we do. We're grateful for the community support. Lastly, we'd like to perform a very, very tiny little snippet of a 12-minute mega dance finale. Just envision this with 60 more people, sequins and platforms, disco balls spinning, and hundreds of balloons pouring out of the catwalk. Our motto is go big or go home. We hope to see you all at Mamma Mia, the 20th musical extravaganza at Woonsocket High School, the show that never happened in 2020, next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at 7, and we added a matinee at 2. We are very hopeful. We used to do matinees but in past, last year was our first year since COVID. We sold out Friday and Saturday night. We were so excited to put that sign up on the front door, sold out. I will say we're about 65% sold already. So please let me know if you'd like to come. We will reserve seats for you. And like I said, these kids right here, I said, please, we're a tiny little group. They are trying to change places. They don't have partners. We're not in formation. They're in a complete panic, but I said, they'll never know. Guys, just smile and have fun. Okay, and now a little bit of Mamma Mia. Woo! And total true fashion for me. I got the side.
Who's the tech guy?
Come on now.
Sitting down right there. Not even paying
They're
attention.
having tech problems over there, Al. Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
So I made up my mind, it must come to an end. Now, will I ever learn? I don't know how, but I suddenly lose control. There's a part of me in my soul. Just one look and I can hear about it. One more look and I forget everything. Oh, Mamma Mia. Here I go again. My mind, I cannot resist ya. Mamma Mia, doesn't show again. My mind, just how much I missed ya. Yes, I've been broken hearted. Blue since the day we parted. Why did I ever let you go? Yes, I've been broken hearted, blue since the day we parted. Why did I ever let you go? Mamma Mia, Now I really know my body. I should not let you go.
Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next week.
Encore. Mama. Did you really?
When you guys going? We're going Thursday,
I gotta go Friday.
Friday?
I'm gonna go Thursday.
You know what's great? There's always been a tribute. First, second, which is Thursday, and I'll be flying back.
When,
Thursday.
when are you are you
Leaving for
planning to
California
go?
on the 5th.
You're not?
I can't because of my ankle. I'm not supposed to
Going
go
to
out
that
at all.
Conference, they paid for it.
Oh,
I'm immobilized.
Benalio,
Supposed to.
something
okay.
of Latinos, they invite people that are elected.
Before.
Yeah, but it's in California this time. They pay for everything. It's your
Yeah, that's cool. I don't know, must have been, yeah.
Again, thank you so much for your presentation, FBLA, and for a nice taste of Mamma Mia. That was fantastic.
Good
Thank you.
job, Good job.
Good job. Now we'll go into good and welfare. For anyone addressing the school committee during good and welfare, please begin with your name and address. Your comments shall be no more than 5 minutes of speaking time and should be in good decorum. Please be aware that the committee cannot respond to you during good and welfare, but may direct you to an appropriate member of the administration team or may meet with you directly after the meeting for further discussion. Is there anyone who would like to address the school committee this evening? Seeing and hearing none, we'll go into recognitions and announcements.
Thank you,
Dr.
Mr.
McGee.
Chairman, would members of the committee join me on the other side of the dais?
Sure.
They're gonna be singing it all night.
We're not going to perform any Mamma Mia things over here, so just in case you got a little nervous. Got this down to a
Science.
oil.
Got it. You got it.
That was Kim's job. What?
Totally.
What's going on?
Sorry, I didn't know. I
I'm a
wasn't
little
told.
flustered, but
I
I'll be
wasn't told. She
okay.
didn't tell me.
So this evening, we're going to be recognizing two classes of Woonsocket High School staff and students. First, I'm going to recognize our 2024-2025 Rhode Island Interscholastic League Distinguished Service Award recipient. It is with great honor to announce that Athletic Director Nancy Giordano was the recipient of the 24-25 Rhode Island Interscholastic League Alice Sullivan Distinguished Service Award, which was presented by Rhode Island Energy this morning. Nancy is honored and recognized for her decade of contributions in support of the Rhode Island Interscholastic League, as well as her service to the student athletes of Woonsocket. Nancy is also the first female to be appointed as athletic director for the Woonsocket Education Department. Very impressive. This morning, Mr. Ernest and I had the privilege to attend the league's 13th annual awards breakfast where they honored Ms. Giordano, along with 24 other individuals, including 21 student athletes, for their exemplary achievements over the past year. So I want to congratulate Ms. Giordano. We have our own certificate that we would like to present her, and I'm going to go off script a little bit here. It has been an absolute honor and privilege to work with Nancy for 11 years as I've been in my position. And Nancy, whether she has been a coach during those 11 years or athletic director, it's been an absolute honor, and we are so lucky to have Nancy Giordano working with our student athletes and our coaches here in Woonsocket. So Nancy, if you would come up to the stage, please. Always looking out for the gap. I love it.
Congratulations.
The next group are from our own Woonsocket Area Career and Technical Center. As you may or may not be aware, Skills USA is a very, very important part of career and technical education. And here in Woonsocket, we are very lucky that we have amazing students every year that accomplish a great deal through Skills USA. So March was a month of triumph for our talented Woonsocket Area Career and Technical Center students. Competing in the annual statewide showdown of career and technical proficiencies at the Skills USA Leadership and Skills Conference, they went head-to-head with top students from across Rhode Island and came out shining. With skill, creativity, and determination on full display, our students captured medals in 5 competitive events across construction, health, graphic design, and digital media, including gold medal victories in advertising, electrical wiring, and t-shirt design. In fact, the t-shirt will be on full display as it will be worn by all participants at the national conference and competition in Atlanta, Georgia this summer. Pretty impressive. Our students' success is a powerful reminder that hard work, passion, and dedication truly pays off. However, none of this would have been possible without the hard work and dedication of their coaches. I would like to take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude to the Skills USA coaches for their dedication to our students and for securing opportunities like these for our students. Congratulations to coaches Brian Kenny, Stephanie Anderson, Keith Tebow, Rob McCarty, Jay Marzini, and Deb Bacon. So let's give them all a round of applause. And so now I'm going to come to our amazing career and tech students. These students received a gold medal. They were the gold medal recipients. Evan Canoyer in electrical construction wiring. If Evan is here this evening, if you come up to the stage for your certificate.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations, right?
Oh, okay. David Vega t-shirt design. Next, Faith Paskanik in advertising design. The silver medal recipients are Carson Violette and Allison Verona in digital cinema production. Not here this evening. And our bronze medal recipients are Ariana Hay, no, Angelia Ortiz, Isabella Piet, Leilani Sanchez, I know she's here, in Health Knowledge Bowl. Trinity Maduro and Katie Verrier in digital cinema production. They're not here this evening, but congratulations to those award recipients. And Mr. Chairman, members of the school committee, that concludes my recognitions and announcements this evening. Thank you.
So I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the recognitions and announcements. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next, the approval of minutes. I'll make a motion to approve the April 9, 2025 closed meeting minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Burke and Mrs. Costa. Any changes to those minutes?
Nope.
Dr. McGee, roll call, please.
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus.
Yes.
Mrs. Costa.
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
Next, I'll make a motion to approve the April 9, 2025 open meeting minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. Any changes to those minutes? Dr. McGee?
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus.
Yes.
Mrs. Costa.
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
Next, we'll go into the consent agenda, and I'll make a motion to discuss and approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. One item I'd like to just touch base is the purchases. All the purchases which are in our budget. Is that correct, Mr. Perrier? Because once, have they been encumbered at this point? Or
Oh, yes, they have been encumbered, and they're actually part of the fiscal update that I'll be providing later today.
Okay, I'll discuss a little bit more later. Any changes to the, any items to the consent agenda anyone want to discuss? Dr. McGee?
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus.
Yes.
Mrs. Costa.
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
Dr. McGee, I'll ask you to give us your superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So first on my agenda, Personnel Matters update, just to give the committee a running update. We have 2 teaching positions that are vacant, 1 psychologist position that's vacant, 3 assistant principal positions, 15 paraprofessional positions, and 1 custodial position. You also have the staffing changes, which lists that we've added special education inclusion teacher at the high school, also the hourly stipend, extracurricular positions, retirements, separations, and transfers. If anybody has any questions at this time, I'd be happy to answer those questions or seek an answer if I don't have it myself.
As we get closer to year end and we're finalizing our numbers, are these positions that we're adding in our budget? I would assume they are, that we're not looking for extra money. It's just within.
The only positions that are being added are for one-on-ones that are required through special education. All the other positions that we filled throughout the entire year were part of the original budget package going back to the start of the year.
So any of these additions that we have to make, Mr. Perrier, do we have the funds, I assume, for those?
Well, yes, we do, but we have to move some things around. So we are contracting with some people, with some TAs right now. We're utilizing IDEA to help out with that. But at the end of the day, we need to make this work because it's required by law.
Right, okay. Thank you. Any questions for our superintendent?
I'm sorry, Mr. Perry, since you brought that up, what does IDA stand for?
Individuals with Disabilities Education Act.
No, it is, okay.
Yeah, individual, yeah, that's, you got it. There you go. There you go.
Can't hear you.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Mrs. Kepiscus.
McMahon. I did have one question. With regard to the 3 vice principal positions.
Yes.
Do you think the difficulty in filling them is because we're so late in the school year? Or have there not been applicants? I'm just curious.
So we have had applicants. It can be challenging if it's late in the school year. We're trying to get out ahead of the rush, if you will,
Right.
Prior to the summer. We have done some interviews, and so we have not filled them yet. We're hopeful that we will have them filled as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Well, just on that topic too, well, there's only 2 months left to the school year. And obviously it would be needed, I'm sure, during the school year, but
Right.
it sounds like we'll probably be waiting for the summer to get somebody.
So, yes, so if, let's say we found someone now, more than likely, what we find is that these are folks that have a job currently, and they're maybe looking to move to a different district. So oftentimes, when we do select a candidate and offer them the position and they accept, it typically would be July 1st when they would start. However, if on July 1st we don't have anyone and we interview during the course of the summer, depending on the contract that the applicant was working on, that the candidate was working on, would determine when they could start. So if they're, say, a 12-month employee, then they would more than likely, even though it's over the summer, probably have to give their district notice. If it was a 10-month employee, that's a little different because, then they're not employed during the summer and they would be able to start sooner. It's different, though, in each circumstance. But that's just what I've found in my experience over the years.
There's a follow-up. I mean, I'm sure it's probably not done because of the union contract, but are there any teachers stepping up, like maybe doing some duties of the administrators that we don't have?
So
Is that happening at all?
So we don't have a lot of staff from the teachers who have that certification. And we have had situations in the past where we've been able to, like years ago, during the course of their schedule, we've worked with the union to have them, maybe like during an administrative duty or an opportunity like that. Right now, we don't have that opportunity.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I'll make a motion to receive and place on file a superintendent's report. Do we have a second?
Not all done, is it?
You have more?
Yeah, I have, but wait, there's more.
Oh, go.
Yes. So my second agenda item is a Globe Park Elementary School roof update. So I'm happy to announce that over April vacation, the work started on the Globe Park roof. Over vacation, the materials that's on the roof, that was on the roof, the older roofs are like gravel. They have the gravel
Right.
gravel roof, and that needs to be vacuumed off before the membrane can be laid down, and whatever work needs to be done prior to the membrane. So that was vacuumed over break. We were fortunate that they could do that over break because it was loud. Naturally, when there's like a big sort of a big hose that goes up to the roof, and it literally vacuums that up. So we were fortunate that Aalborg Construction were able to do that over vacation when there were no students or staff in the building. I just got off the phone, Mr. Notariani and I got off the phone with Aalborg Construction prior to the meeting, and the higher roofs, the higher parts of the roof at Globe Park, the cafeteria, the library, the gym, the membrane has been laid down. It has to be secured. There are other parts to that process that need to happen, but for the most part, that membrane is down. They're going to be working moving forward on the lower parts of the roof. Beginning, I think it was this week, Mr. Notariani, and then they'll be laying that membrane down. So work is progressing nicely. I've been there a few times. Mr. Notariani's been there a few times as well. I think you were up on the roof the other day, and they're doing a nice job. They're doing their work prior to students coming in the morning, so that there isn't any loud noise or anything that would be distracting to the learning environment at Globe Park. So good news.
Is there any estimate when the work will be done?
So when they started, they estimated approximately 5 weeks. So it seems like they're they're
Moving
they're
along.
moving along nicely. I couldn't tell you exactly,
Okay.
whether it's 3 weeks or, I don't want to say anything, for sure, because you never know. With the weather could hinder their progress. I mean, we've been fortunate with the weather. Yeah, things are going along well there.
Are we reselling any of the gravel, Dr. McGee?
I don't think we are. I think
It
that,
could be special
well, I
gravel.
think that's come from Cass Park.
6 million worth.
I think that's, I didn't know it was the same type of gravel, but if it is, maybe
Then we
we
should.
could do a gravel test. Maybe not. Lastly, end of year events. The committee is aware, or if you're not aware, I'm going to make you aware this evening that Ms. Blaze has shared a
Yes.
Google Doc with each of you, which lists the end of year events at each of our schools. It's that time of year. It's hard to believe that we're practically in May. So you'll be receiving that information in a timely manner as it is, as they're scheduled and they're provided to Ms. Blaze. She'll share those with you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. McGee. Any comments for Dr. McGee? Questions? Then I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the superintendent's report. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Now we'll go to the school subcommittee reports, and I'll ask Mr. Notoriani to give us the report on facilities, safety, and security.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the Facility Safety and Security Subcommittee met on Friday, April 11th at 10 a.m. First order of business was to approve minutes from the prior meeting in October of '24. We then had a discussion of safety and security. The main discussion centered around the window cover protocol we have here in the district, which was a topic that the full school committee asked us to review. So we did have a subcommittee meeting. We invited the Woonsocket Police Department, Deputy Chief Remick, Detective Sergeant Kamer, both attended on behalf of the police. And we had a very, I would say, robust discussion. Specifically, we talked about the fact that we collaborated with the union, the building principals, the SROs, to determine what material will be placed on the windows and which windows that it would be placed on. We did have a discussion because there was a concern with some of the secretarial staff that did reach out to the school committee concerning the main office areas being covered. The Woonsocket Police Department did weigh in and stating that, according to Deputy Chief Remick, the best practice based on Alice and FEMA and their active shooter recommendations is to cover the windows, so if a shooter was to come in, they can't see a target through the windows. He stated that it was best to have permanent covering and not just a shade. He said they do not want to have a teacher or administrator have to go towards the window to pull down the shade, which was the reason why they had recommended a more permanent solution, based on the fact that we had the money. I also outlined that we established what we would call, what's affectionately called a man trap. We built in one at the high school when we renovated the main entrance. But here at Villanova, we created our own. It does not have the ballistic window in yet because we're waiting for money from RIDE to do that. But we did create a two-door buzzer system. So you buzz in the front door, and then before you get through the second door, there's a second buzzer, so you can't enter the school. And that's where the window coverings were placed, so that once they get through the first buzzer door, when they get to the second one, if they were to smuggle a weapon in, they would not have an active target to see through the windows to see. And we did install a camera there and a buzzer for the second door. As part of our discussion and in preparation of our discussion, we did visit the school, and we did take along the chairman and Mr. Leclerc to look at the setup here, and we did observe that a magnet was placed in the second door lock. So rather than them have a visitor having to be buzzed in, if you just approach the door, you could push it right on open. So it unfortunately undermined the security protocols that we established in the building. Dr. McGee specifically asked to have that noted here in the minutes because we're still looking into exactly who would have, one, put a magnet in place to disable the security mechanism. And two, we also discovered at Villanova that prior to the school committee's final decision or the subcommittee's final recommendation, it appears somebody already removed the tinting over at Villanova Middle School. So that's something that would need to be addressed as well. Then moving beyond that, we did note that the secretaries that did have the concern about the tinting were invited to attend the subcommittee meeting to voice their concerns. Dr. McGee specifically invited them. We notified their union leadership, and they were invited through them, but we did not have any attendance from any of the secretaries that had concerns about the tinting. So based on a motion by Mr. Leclerc and seconded by Mr. Perrier, the subcommittee voted to recommend to the full school committee that the window treatments, tinting, whatever you would like to call it, remain in place in the main offices based on the security protocol that the police had outlined. Which I would note here, if the full committee would like to talk about it, we could put it on for an agenda item for the full committee. But this was the subcommittee's recommendation. Next item was intercoms, phones, and clocks. The Rhode Island Department of Education had reached out to the administration a couple weeks ago, offering a $500,000 in funding that would have to be matched by the school department with an additional $500,000 to install intercoms, phones, and clocks in those buildings where they're failing and those buildings that we're going to remain open after the school consolidation or restructuring with the new elementary school. The caveat to that is the $500,000 by RIDE. The total project needs to be substantially complete by June 30th. So that was discussed with the subcommittee, and the subcommittee was informed that we have upcoming meetings. Our intention is to pursue the grant funding and finish the project by June 30th so we can avail ourselves of the extra money. Mr. Perrier did note that while we did get a verbal commitment, we are still waiting for the paperwork with the final details, but we are pursuing a way to act on that good fortune. We did have a discussion about radios, and I would like it noted, I noted at the subcommittee level that we discussed that we offered radios to all elementaries, all schools, not just elementary schools, all schools throughout the district. I did offer it to every principal. I was subsequently told by the Vernon Heights Elementary School and the Globe Park Elementary School, as we discussed at the subcommittee, did not ask for radios for all of their staff. So I'm not sure what exactly count they were looking at. So we have since received a request, and we've provided them. We then moved on to facilities projects. I shared with the subcommittee a roof assessment that the administration conducted in 2022. We evaluated all roofs by the Garland Group, and they gave us estimates to replace all the roofs across the district, and that was shared with the subcommittee in terms of what the expenditure would be for that. We talked about the chimney repairs at the high school and the need to do some additional work there through our capital fund. We talked about the Woonsocket High School equipment room, which was relocated from Barry Field because our equipment coaches, managers need a space to operate out of. We talked about the Woonsocket Area Career and Technical Playground for the Early Childhood Program, which is in need of repairs, which at the moment we don't have the full amount of money to make those repairs, so we're going to do as best we can in-house. We discussed the middle school lighting issue, which occurs here from time to time where the lights seem to dim or go out when they shouldn't, and we've notified the state about that issue, and we're going to have an upcoming meeting there. The subcommittee also talked about the fact that the lights work at all the other elementary schools, the high school and career tech center. So the issue is just occurring here at the two middle schools. We discussed that the theater arts department, specifically the auditorium renovations are going on, but in addition to that, we are also going to do in-house work in the music room. Similar to our other projects, facilities tries to pair in-house work with any capital fund projects that we do. A couple of items in the auditorium that we're still waiting on back order are the railings. So we have temporary railings. For those of you who attend Mamma Mia next week, you'll see there are temporary railings installed versus the permanent ones. Rhode Island Department of Energy projects, we were informed by the Rhode Island Office of Energy that the HVAC grant that we anticipated receiving, or we were told that we would receive, is now on hold due to federal funding concerns, which is, I think, clearly been in the newspaper. We did receive word that the hot water heater tanks here at the two middle schools would proceed, probably for the summer of 2025. We also had discussion about the Savoy Playground and how there isn't one, and that we're looking for an opportunity there. One option is to potentially take the playground from Coleman and the playground equipment from Burn-In and the playground equipment from Globe Park potentially, and relocate it. We can maybe in-house take facilities, have them relocate the equipment to Savoy once those buildings close or are repurposed. We discussed traffic flow issues, and we've moved the rest of the traffic flow reviews to over the summer. We discovered that there are some administrative issues that need to be worked out at the Pothier Citizens Campus in terms of how bus drop-off and pickup occurs. And Dr. McGee, myself, and Mr. Perrier went out with the bus company to look at how students are dropped off and picked up, and there needs to be some significant changes on the part of the building leadership there in terms of how that works in order to speed up the process so that we're not lag times later on in the tier when you get to the other elementary schools. We did discuss Durham. They have a full complement of drivers for the first time in probably 3 years. Their transportation times have improved significantly. And we've also engaged Transpar to start the review for the bus routes and the redistricting here in the district after the new school construction. And that concluded the meeting. It ended at 10:59 a.m. on the 11th.
Thank you, Mr. Notariani. Any questions for him? Comments? Then I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the Facility Safety and Security Subcommittee update. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Leclerc, Mrs. Costa. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Mr. Notariani, why don't you give us the update on the building committee meeting that we had?
Yes, the building committee met on Friday, the 11th, and we had a discussion regarding the modification of the interior design. The building committee approved the modifications and also approved our submission to RIDE, which is called the Design Development or Development Design Review Process, which is just one of the next steps before we break ground early summer. In addition to that, and part of the discussion was the size of classrooms to make sure that they were large enough to our liking. Some of the design looked like the classrooms were a little smaller, so the administration caught that and had the architects go back and make some adjustments. In addition to that, we went through and reviewed the cost estimates, and Dr. Carreño from RIDE announced the addition of $1 million award to the original funding to help pay for the traffic study and furniture for the new elementary school. And with that, we adjourned after that item.
Thank you, Mr. Notariani. Any questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Vice Chair Burke.
Today, I was at the ribbon cutting at the Citizens Pothier campus, which was a great day. I met somebody from the Rhode Island Department of Education who talked about healthy school guide for kitchens. And I guess I'm just wondering if our groups have looked into this. It's a healthy school kitchen playbook. And she talked with me about how to build school kitchens a certain way to great emphasis. I'm just bringing it up because I had that conversation with her today. Her name is Caitlin Mandel. She is part of the Farm to Child Nutrition Program specialist. And she said, this is something that RIDE recommends. No, I don't know where it stands with us. I mean, I'm not part of that building committee, but just wanted to pass that on, so.
We can certainly reach back out to RIDE and specifically to that individual. RIDE, we're following the RIDE guidelines, and there's a whole kitchen design process that's part of the design package with RIDE. And I believe Mr. Perrier did reach out to RIDE. I'm not sure who there, just to confirm that we were following all the regs.
That's correct, Mr. Toriani. I did reach out to the Department of Ed to seek their input on our new kitchen design. So I'd like to meet with you afterwards and get the person's name you spoke to, because I would like to connect with her.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, yeah.
Anyone else? I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the building committee update. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa, Mr. Leclerc. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next, I'll ask Mrs. Kepiscus and Vice Chair Burke to give us the curriculum. Oh, Mrs. Kepiscus to give us the curriculum committee update. I'm not going to ask Vice Chair Burke. He's not on a committee.
You might have a shorter report than me. I saw that, Mr. Leclerc. Good evening. The Curriculum Subcommittee met yesterday, April 22nd at 3:30. After approving our minutes, we discussed the plan to introduce a foreign language curriculum into the middle school. As we know, the new RIDE graduation requirements require each high school graduate to complete 2 world language credits in the same world language. Our middle schools used to offer foreign language programs, but this was discontinued some time ago. The WED is now proposing to reallocate 2 of our iExplore positions at the middle school into world language positions at the middle schools in order to give our middle school students better preparation for when they reach world language classes at the high school. At present, the plan is to offer a full year of Spanish at the middle school, which would count as both 1 world language credit of the 2 required and 1 high school credit for 1 class. The plan at present is to offer this to the 8th grade students only, but we may later convert it to a half-year credit for the 7th grade and a half-year credit for the 8th grade. The existing curriculum at the high school will be used. While the high school offers French, Spanish, and Italian, the middle school will only offer Spanish, as we anticipate it will be easier to hire teachers with this language offering. There will be no budget effect as the 2 displaced iExplore positions are currently open. This will not eliminate the iExplore program, as 6 of the 8 positions would remain in place. Principal Karen Cahill then reviewed the CSIP report for Coleman. After having completed the CSIP needs review and strengths review process, Coleman's team considers the following focus areas: diversity of population, transience of population, high poverty population, absenteeism, and MLL rates. Among the positives at Coleman are the strong community partnerships that they have established and improved teacher attendance rates. The bottom line, absenteeism rates of students is affecting student success across the board. Some 100 children at Coleman are chronically absent, and for these students, Coleman is not their home school. That's the common denominator. Transportation was considered, and it was believed to not be an issue, as these students have exhibited the same chronic absenteeism since they started at the WED, no matter what school they attended. As the population is very transient, many think nothing of pulling their children out of school for several weeks to go home to fill in the blank, whatever the reason might be. The administrator has spent a lot of time trying to drive home to these families the need for the children to attend school daily. We must drive home that there are consequences for their children's behaviors. Just as there are consequences for their children's behaviors, there are consequences for parents. If you do the right thing, you earn rewards. If you do not, though, you can expect a visit from the attendance officer, and if that does not do the trick, perhaps even a call from DCYF. Staffing has been an issue in the past, as the school has had many long-term and short-term subs. In order to improve science scores, the decision had been made to ignore the curriculum in favor of focusing on content areas which counted for testing. To improve science scores, Coleman will focus on improving instruction and hands-on materials to make it more meaningful for our students. Students learn best when learning is inquiry-based, and therefore the focus is on the model of instruction. This has to start in kindergarten. There are also plans to return to celebrating science, school science fairs, science family nights, etc., which make both parents and students proud. Coleman will begin to departmentalize. So rather than teachers having to focus on all content areas, but being unable to dive deeply into each of those content areas, teachers will be focused on 2 particular content areas so they can dive deeply into those. This will likely require students to move from room to room for instruction, which can provide a badly needed body break built into the day. At present, the focus will be on grades 3 through 5, but it may be expanded to grade 2, depending on the maturity level of the students. Specialized professional development at Coleman for teachers will be offered in their content areas. Loss of the ALT meetings this year means that there's a loss of common planning time, which is essential for this plan to work. As a result, they're working to build 1 hour per week of common planning time back into the schedule. The model of instruction will continue and expand. Coleman will also be adding partner tutors from Brown. To improve math scores, Coleman will continue to use the model of instruction and academic teaming. Statistics demonstrate that rote learning is not the way to go with math. Rather, we need to teach students critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Schedules will be aligned so math and reading interventionists who are used for extra support to permit them to push into rooms rather than pulling students out for intervention, which causes them to miss other content areas while they're absent from the classroom. To try to address issues of chronic absenteeism, educators are calling home daily for each absence. Students who are absent 3 times in a month, the administrator will call up to set up a meeting to discuss the issue with the family. We're looking into poverty and instability and how they impact attendance. The administrator indicates that parents express a fear of school, so she's regularly hosting Coffee with Cahill, an informal meeting of parents with the administrator to show them that the school is here to support and not judge. Coleman is also offering school-wide incentives for perfect attendance. We want to show the community that school can be and should be a happy place as we are a family. To foster more parent involvement, incentives are key, as they are with students. Coleman will host events with giveaways, meals, etc. We then moved on to review the CSIP for the Woonsocket Middle School at Hamlet with Principal Jen Renegaldo. She gave a description of how RIDE star scores are calculated. Very complex process for those of us who want statistics, whatever. Based upon that review, the CSIP team at Hamlet decided to focus on areas that they think they can change: growth in ELA and math, and decrease in suspension rates. Based upon her explanation of how the star scores are calculated, she feels that they are very close to moving their 1s in these areas to 2s. As for suspension rates, the rate has already been cut in half through the use of the MATS program as an alternative to suspension. She advised that she uses this program, quote, a lot, unquote. The MATS program is a program where students who are not in school during the day because of behavioral issues typically come to school between 2:30 and 5:15, where their schoolwork is waiting for them to complete. They are supervised. It is like an in-school alternative placement, and the kids hate it, so it can be a very effective disincentive. In addition to this, the priorities of Hamlet's CSIP plan are focused on increasing student scores in ELA, math, science, and attendance by 3 points in 6 particular subgroups. The question is how. The administrator has purchased a RICAS prep curriculum, which other principals have used successfully to raise student scores. The administrator will also focus on the expansion of MOI, as it statistically shows it improves scores on standardized tests. The new science curriculum will also be very helpful in order to further promote science. The school will also bring back science fairs, and after-school STEM club, parent resources, etc. Attendance is, however, a beast all its own. The push will be to involve families and community partners. The administrator and teachers are meeting with parents after school using CSIP funds to pay the teachers to stay beyond the contractual hours to discuss these attendance problems. At these meetings, they will set up attendance plans with students and parents. In some cases, they will go so far as to set up a morning schedule for the student, determining what time they need to get up and get out the door in order to make it to school on time. This turned into a significant discussion among the subcommittee as to how RIDE determines absences and how RIDE's methods fail to take into consideration that the same kids are chronically absent over and over again. It may be that 10 kids are alone responsible for over 100 absences. There are also excused absences, which are not considered in the RIDE calculation, when children are legitimately absent because they are sick or hospitalized. The administrator was asked to see if she could determine and provide the school committee chairman with a true absence number, and she told them she would try to have that figure for him as soon as possible. Lastly, instructional empowerment and model of instruction. All present were given a flyer for a one-day workshop on May 7th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on the model of instruction. All fees are waived. Lunch will be provided. Registration is going well. What was originally scheduled to occur at Savini's, the location has now been moved to a Providence location to be determined. As RIDE determined, this was a more centralized location. If you're looking for more information, please speak to Dr. Holt, whose lovely picture is on the flyer, which upset her tremendously. The last item on the agenda is scheduling our next meeting, which will be on May 19th, 2025 at 3:30. With that, our meeting adjourned. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
That was incredible. I was at that meeting and you made me relive it, the whole thing in 5 minutes. Great job.
You know, every time you do that, I make my minutes longer, right?
You
thought you'd
couldn't
wanna know that.
possibly make this longer.
Oh, I can.
I think as a second vocation, you could be an audiobook narrator.
Thank you.
Any comments, questions from Mrs. Kapiskas? Then I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the curriculum committee update. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Ms. Morel, would you give us your special education update?
I will. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In front of you are my enrollment numbers as of April 14th. The information is tracked in our Skyward system. As of April 14th, we have a total of 1,439 students receiving special education services within our schools from pre-K to 12th grade. This represents 27% of our total population of approximately 5,282 students. The number of IEPs is slightly higher than last month's. However, the number of students is slightly lower total. So it's still bringing us a little bit more than last month. I think last month's number was 27.1. I think we're at 27.2. But it looks like we're losing students without IEPs, and we've been gaining a few students moving into our system. We currently have 20 students in our TransPro classroom. We've had a couple students graduate out of that program because they've turned 22. We also have 114 students in our out-of-district placements with 113 with IEPs. And there are approximately 202 students in private schools and pre-K programs, all with IEPs. I'd like to put in a plug for the state pre-K. Is open, the lottery. We do have links on our website as well as Dr. McGee's memo that goes out to families. If you have any questions.
In looking at all the chart with all the numbers and the percentages,
Yes.
Ms. Morel, I look at the 12th grade. It's at 19%. Is there any reason that you know of why it's so low in comparison to all the other grades?
As students, certain students, when they're going through, and when they're in their senior year, some of them turn into 504s, which is appropriate for when they graduate high school, and it would follow them into college and into the workforce. Some IEPs are not appropriately able to transfer over to a 504, but some are able to do that.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anyone else? I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the special education update. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Mr. Perrier, would you give us your financial update, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In front of the school committee this evening is the February 2025 fiscal update. Currently, the district is projecting a small surplus of $28,000 as of June 30th, 2025 at this time. On to the financial highlights on the revenue side. Due to higher than anticipated billings, Medicaid revenue is projected to be over budget by a little over $1.1 million. I believe Ms. Morel spoke to this a little bit at our last meeting. We have made an adjustment based on our year-to-date numbers, and we have increased our revenue projection. On the expenditure side, all regular salaries are $1.696 million under budget at this time. When netted with the employee turnover allowance of a little over $1 million, this would put overall salary $646,000 under budget. Substitute salary line is $150,000 over budget at this time. Substitute pay projection has increased slightly due to substitute employees moving up the substitute pay scale due to days worked in the district. Medical expenses are currently $300,000 over budget. The expense will continue to be monitored going forward. And as a reminder to the school committee, the district still has about $1 million in OPEB funding, a little bit less than that due to the recent market action. But we do have $2 million on a medical pooling account for potential medical overruns as well. All pensions are scheduled to come in over budget at this time. There was a very late change in the pension rate by legislation, which led to the unscheduled increase in expense. Overages and purchase services are due to us being unable to fill some budgeted salary positions. As we talked about before, you approved this evening several TA one-on-one positions, but we are paying them through IDEA, so the expense is not falling to the general fund at the time. Transportation was currently adjusted up in anticipation of additional buses coming from RIDE to support district-wide transportation. We did make that adjustment, but Upon revisiting our purchase order for the out-of-district students, we did have to increase our purchase order to cover us through June 30th. So we did put a pretty significant increase, probably in the range of about $500,000 added to the PO. Right now, we're looking to pay RIDE a little over $4 million for statewide transportation this year. That's what I'm projecting as of right now, but we will continue to monitor that going forward. I think we are appropriately encumbered right now, and that has been captured as part of this fiscal update. Finally, tuitions to private sources are over budget by approximately $1.186 million. We have decreased this a small amount, but it seems like when we close one, another student ends up going back out. So it's kind of tough to make up ground on this expense line. But I know the special ed department does work hard, and they do find ways to recall students back to the district when it's appropriate. If the school committee has any questions, I'd love to take them now.
We're projecting a $28,000 surplus at this point, and these are using the February numbers, although all our expenditures are encumbered. Is there a concern that unless we make changes in our cuts, that we may go into the red? Or do we have enough reserves?
Oh,
to make sure
there's,
that we're in the
if
black?
we overexpend, we have more than enough in reserve to cover anything that we would potentially go over this fiscal year.
Okay.
We can get savings out of medical very easily. We can transfer $3 million in at the blink of an eye to cover medical overages. Looking and having a conversation with administration, I think for the most part, the general fund is fully expended at this point. I don't think anything new is going to be going on to that between now and the end of the school year, fiscal year for that matter, June 30th. So I feel that we're in a pretty good spot right now as far as encumbrances go. I will admit it is very tight right now.
Right.
And we are kind of up against it. But I think as we work and scrub out purchase orders that are open, we may have some savings there that we can pull back that may offset any additional expense that we kind of face between now and the end of the fiscal year. So while I can't say one way or another how we're going to end here, I know we're very close. If we are over, we have more than enough in reserve to cover anything that would potentially come up down the road.
Now, March is done. We're into April. Do we have a sense when we'll hear from the state? Probably.
Well, we have
probably
heard
won't wait till June.
Well, that actually gives me a good segue here. Next Wednesday, there will be a finance subcommittee meeting to talk about the FY26 budget. I will be presenting to the finance subcommittee that first iteration of the budget. And then we will have a special school committee meeting April 30th in the evening at some point to approve that budget. The reason why we're going to be doing it then is that so we can get the ask to the city of a 4% increase for May 1st. Note that this budget will not be our final budget. There still are some rather big question marks out on next year's budget. At this time, legislation doesn't finalize the entire state budget until June. So we're not going to really know. We're not going to have 100% assurance of that $3 million plus increase in state aid until we get into June. And really more concerning to me at this point is the status of our federal funds. Really not a lot of information from the Department of Ed at this point. I don't feel they're holding anything back intentionally. I feel that they're just as in the dark as we are right now. So while RIDE is moving forward in rolling out a new system for accounting for all of our grants, at this time, we still don't have any guarantees as far as what our allocations look like for the Consolidated Resource Plan, which is Title I, Title II, Title III,
Right.
IDEA, and IDEA pre-K. So the budget that will be presented next week is basically a placeholder budget at this time. I'm hopeful by the middle of May, we have a little more information on this and we can really move forward with a final budget that I plan on presenting to the committee more towards the end of May. And I'd like to have as we have traditionally here, have a joint city council, school committee meeting to kind of review our budget and share with the city kind of what we're looking at, not just next year for fiscal year 26, but maybe further down the road. But again, it's difficult to kind of have those conversations until we get a little bit more information, particularly at the federal level. Right now, if we don't get any guarantees from anybody by the time we hit the middle of next month, I think we're going to have to proceed like we don't have those funds next year, just because we have certain deadlines that we need to meet as far as issuing layoff notices and getting budgets out and getting them approved by you. I think regardless of, I think even worst case scenario, if something like that happens, there may be a chance to get these funds later. And as soon as we get information on those funds and we receive notice that we have them, we can work on kind of correcting maybe the things that we need to do just to kind of abide by the timelines that we have. This is not something that I'm looking forward to, quite frankly, but at the end of the day, I need to protect the school district. And if we don't have assurances that we're getting these funds, we need to proceed that we don't have them until we receive those assurances that we do.
Correct. And as an aside, if you live in Woonsocket or you listen to the radio, read newspapers or whatever, you know that the city is still in the midst of its audits. They're having their CPA firm audit the 22-23 year and the 23-24. And they're not close to wrapping up 22-23. We've been hearing it now that'd be done by March. It's now April. This thing could stretch even more. So the meeting that we set up with the city could take, might take a little longer for them to come to the table, because I don't know how they're going to do a budget without knowing what their prior year balances are. They won't know what their opening balances are until they finalize the numbers. So this is going to be very interesting as we watch what's happening at City Hall. It's going to be part of the puzzle when you look at the citywide finances and our budget going in with theirs, because I don't know when in the world they're going to be able to do that, and what kind of budget information. How good is that budget information going to be?
Well, I have received some information from the Rhode Island Public Expenditure Council that I'll be forwarding out to all the school committee members. It's just really talking kind of about how local funding, really statewide, is lagging behind as far as school funding goes.
Right.
So I'll be sure to circulate that to everybody on the committee so you can all take a look at that. And if you have any questions, I would love to speak to you about that at any time.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Perrier. Any questions, comments for him?
Mr. Chairman,
Vice Chair?
Mr. Perrier, could you explain this sentence? We are looking at over 4 million in expenses paid for statewide this year. Is that transportation?
Yeah, that's what I was speaking about before. Right now, I have a little over $4 million encumbered for ride transportation. That's statewide transportation. About 75% of that to 80% is for special education, out-of-district transportation. The remainder of that is a combination of a few local students and homeless students. Those are also, we get assistance from statewide transportation, transporting those students to their destinations. So yeah, we're looking at about 4 million. I think it's going to be over $4 million when we get to the end of the year. Oh, absolutely.
Just to note, we're required. And when I say required, our options are, well, we have two options. We can do statewide, or we go through Durham.
So it's not an option.
So it's not really an option.
As Mr. Notoriani said.
And we're not,
an
it's
option.
supposed to be more cost effective to go through statewide. Just to clear the air, it's not like we didn't choose to go spend the 4 million, and this is probably our best bet.
I believe there's a bill being discussed in the General Assembly right now to talk about removing the costs of these transportations from the local districts and have the state take care of it. I don't know if it's ever going to pass.
The General Assembly does have a study commission, which they're discussing exactly how the rules work. Statewide transportation was configured about 15 years ago, and it was was a voluntold option for the districts, so we were voluntarily told we're doing it, and that's what we've been doing. So, and it has expanded beyond, traditionally it was just for special ed transportation services. They now incorporated McKinney-Vento homeless students. And then we also have the unique opportunity that where statewide is assisting us because our local provider can't do their job. So,
Oh, and as a note, that $4 million does not include the money that we're paying to RIDE to help Durham with the additional buses. That's a separate item altogether.
That's what I was just going to ask.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else? I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the financial update. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Melissa Leclerc and Mrs. Costa. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We have no unfinished business, and the first item in new business is I'll make a motion to discuss and approve amendments to the parent and family involvement policy. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Mrs. Costa. My question on this is, what were the amendments? Review, I didn't see.
There aren't any.
Oh,
I can explain that. So as the committee is aware, each year, as a Title I requirement, districts send out a survey, or well, they look to solicit feedback from families within the district around the parent and family involvement policy, so that if there are any changes, we can make those changes based off of the feedback that we receive from families in the district. So we sent out a survey to families. We did not receive any feedback. So the only changes to the parent and family involvement policy are just dates and years. So there's nothing substantive to that policy. So that's why, Mr. Chairman, you don't have anything there.
if I look at adoption, and correct me if I'm wrong, the policy was adopted by WED and the Woonsocket School Committee on April 12, 2023, and will be in effect for 1 year. And that's what I've got, what I'm looking at. Does that date need to change now? Is that,
That date would need to change.
I would
yes.
say? So will that be,
Yes, that will be,
okay, so that will be changed to 25?
right? Is that, no, I stand corrected.
No, so what happens? So if it's only good
When
for
we
1
are
year-
not changing the content of the policy, the date of tonight's meeting is merely listed at the end of the policy. So if you scroll to the very end of the first copy, which is the English version, you will see that tonight's date is listed there because there are not any changes. So the day that the policy was actually written remains the same because we're not changing the content. Is that the question you've asked?
No, I'm saying it says that it was adopted in 23 and it will be in effect for 1 year. So the year is over.
Where's that?
This is, I don't have, it doesn't have
I
page
see that. I'm
numbers.
sorry.
Way at the end.
That date will have to be changed. You are correct.
Right.
I am sorry. I thought you were referring to the very
I'm not
last
changing the
statement.
adoption date. I'm saying if it's only in effect for a year,
Yes, I will correct that.
okay.
It says, look at page 6, they list
Oh, I know,
the other dates.
but in the body of adoption, if it's only good for a year, right?
Yep.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm not changing the policy because I didn't see any changes. It looked fine. Any other? Dr. McGee?
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus.
Yes.
Mrs. Costa,
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
Next, I'll make a motion to discuss and approve amendments to the student transportation policy. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa.
Sorry.
Are you okay?
I'd have deafened everyone. I blame Dr. McGee because he was using my mic.
You're
Okay.
being blamed.
I sabotaged the mic.
You did.
I apologize.
Make me look the fool. The student transportation policy, you might recall, we just recently passed an amendment.
Right.
That amendment was missing some essential language that had been discussed by the subcommittee. We didn't realize, none of us who reviewed it realized that it was missing till after the school committee adopted it. And the language was the third paragraph. The chief operating officer or designee shall have the authority to promulgate protocols governing bus transportation that are consistent with this policy. The protocol shall be made available to students and families. That's the language that was missing. It enables the COO, whoever that may be, or his designee or her designee, to create those protocols. And in fact, we had specifically been discussing a set of protocols that are in existence in another community that we were looking at adopting. Mr. Notariani brought it to my attention, and we've decided to bring it back before the school committee so we can pass the correct version of the transportation.
See, when I look at this policy, you go down below, there's red line, and that paragraph is redlined. And then there's additional, including the next group, student conduct and discipline, there's adjustments there. That's why when I looked at our first policy, I saw no changes. This one I do. So yeah, they make sense.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. No,
Okay.
I'm good, I'm fine, no.
Any
Mr. Notariani
comments?
is- Yes.
Any other comments? No. Dr. McGee, roll call.
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke.
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus.
Yes.
Mrs. Costa.
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
Next, I'll make a motion to discuss and approve amendments to the student discipline policy. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. Mrs. Kepiscus, do you want to address this one?
Be happy to. As you may recall, when I gave my report on the policy subcommittee meeting, our student discipline policy was pretty onerous in terms of the guidelines and the procedural requirements to enforce student discipline with appeals processes, et cetera. So as a result, our attorney recommended that we try to streamline that policy because as a result of changes, basically the removal of any guidance at all from RIDE with regard to suspensions, we could streamline that policy even further. And you'll notice this policy is significantly shorter
Right.
in terms of how discipline is enforced. And I went over what some of those changes were. This is simply the final version of that policy.
Any other questions, comments? Dr. McGee?
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke.
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus.
Yes.
Mrs. Costa.
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
Next, I'll make a motion to discuss and approve amendments to the student teacher intern policy. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. Mrs. Kepiscus?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As a result of change to state law and RIDE regulations, there's a different process now for student teaching. The biggest change, and I think I went over this briefly when I did my policy notes, the biggest change is that instead of it's a half of a school year or a semester of student teaching, it's now a full year experience. But we wanted to basically tighten up some of the requirements to address some of the problems that we've encountered, including but not limited to teachers who are supervising student teachers making arrangements without ever conducting a discussion with HR or the principal. So as a result, we're making it clear what the requirements are for student teachers as well as interns, which is what we refer to as school psychologists in training, OTs, PTs, SLPs in training, social workers in training who are not teachers, but also serve a student teaching like field work period in our schools. We want to make it clear that they're required to comply with all of the same rules that our staff are. They're required to complete the legal training. They're required to get a BCI report, national BCI report at their own expense. They're required to include HR and the principal in discussions. The teacher who's supervising the student teacher must have at least 3 years' experience in the field, and the principal gets final say over whether or not that teacher is appropriate, even if they have the 3 years' experience, because there are concerns, our high school principal particularly expressed concerns that sometimes a teacher who is only 3 years in is not appropriate to supervise a student teacher, particularly when you consider a teacher who's been teaching for 3 years is not even tenured yet. So it basically tightens up those requirements, makes it really clear how we can basically eliminate a student teacher or an intern for violation of our policies and procedures and for violation in particular of this policy.
Thank you very much. Any comments, questions? Dr. McGee?
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke.
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus.
Yes.
Mrs. Costa.
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
Having no other items on our agenda, I'll make a motion to adjourn at 8:25 PM. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.